Y'all seem to like this new interactive quiz style formatting for this video series, so we're back at it again with another twisted Would You Rather. Just like last time, all of the character matchups have been selected by RNG, but this time we've got 10 Savanaclaw themed questions. During the gauntlet, you'll have the option to participate in an interactive quiz by clicking on the box near the description and then selecting the answer you desire. While there are no wrong answers in this type of thing, the quiz module does require one to be set. So I've set all of my picks to be quote unquote correct. Therefore, you can also try to guess who I went with if you'd like, or you can pick your faves so we can get some sweet community data going. Or you can ignore the quiz entirely and just list your picks in the comments section down below. Once all the questions have been asked, I'll be going through my picks and rationales, but for now, we should start with our very first question. Would you rather nap in the botanical garden with Jack or Ruggy? Would you rather practice flashy spell drive moves with Leona or Azul? Would you rather swim in the dorm lounge's pool with Leona or Lilia? Would you rather brave the special bakery line to get Leona lunch with Edia or Ace? Would you rather complete a morning workout with Edia or Vil? Would you rather play some chess with Jamil or Vil? Would you rather arm wrestle to settle a conflict with Lilia or Ace? Would you rather look for a sleeping Leona with Kaleem or Jade? Would you rather stake your claim to one of the dorm's lounge chairs with Rook or Malleus? Would you rather hang the dorm's laundry out to dry with Rook or Ruggy? Have you locked in your choices? Are you satisfied with them? If so, then let's compare notes. But quickly, before we do, I must mention that I'll be passively mentioning some EN server story content, so there will be some spoilers ahead. Now then, our first question was, would you rather nap in the botanical garden with Jack or Ruggy? The wheel started off strong with two of our Savanaclaw boys, but I think only one of them would be willing to have a little nap, and that person is Ruggy. While Jack is sincere, he is also a goody two-shoes who wouldn't skip class if he could help it, and I also don't think he'd want to sleep in the botanical garden when he has a perfectly good bed in his dorm. Ruggy also likely wouldn't want to skip class, since that could damage the relationships that he's fostered with the staff, but he might like a small after-school break, so why not give Leona's favorite pastime a try? I also think folks would be less likely to bug us if I were with Ruggy, since he's well respected in his dorm, is useful to Leona, and is a sophomore, so he's got a bit more rank to throw about than Jack does. This does not guarantee that someone wouldn't try to wake me independent from him, but it might dissuade them from doing so, allowing me to rest peacefully in the late afternoon sun. Our next question was, would you rather practice flashy spell drive moves with Leona or Azul? There is absolutely no contest here. There is no way for me to even hold a candle to Leona, and Leona also likely wouldn't be challenged at all by a squirt like me. So what benefit is there to us practicing together? Not to mention the additional hurdle of me not having magic with which to move the spell drive disc about. However, I might be able to be given magic, at least a little bit, by Azul through signing a little piece of golden paper, which I think actually gets talked about at some point as being impossible since you need to already be capable of magic for his specific spell to be able to give you magic. But hypothetically, there could be a world where me, non-magic person, can help magic person practice magic tricks by being given magic by that person. The contract can just be for the time of the practice, and since Azul is the one giving me something, there is no risk of the agreement lingering past its time. We're both not very athletic, so I could keep up with his pace, taking breaks when we need them and giving it our all once our energy is back up. The best part of it all is that I get to hang out with my favorite leech twin. What could be better than that? Therefore, Azul is my pick for this question, since I just can't resist a low-stakes hangout with the cephalopod. He might even invite me to the lounge afterwards, where I would have to pay full price since our contract was specific to spell drive, but even so, it'd be a good time. Speaking of watery places, our next question was, would you rather swim in the dorm lounge's pool with Leona or Lilia? Now, I don't actually know if this pool is deep enough for swimming or if it's just meant to be decorative and cool down the dorm. But I'm going to assume that you can swim in it because I want to get in the water, and therefore I think the optimal choice here is Leona. Because even if you're not technically allowed to swim in the pool, there is no way anyone is going to bother Leona about it. I do love Lilia, and I think he'd be a lot of fun at a pool party, but he also has delicate skin that is sensitive to the sun, so dragging him along could harm him somewhat if he's not prepared. Plus, he's Diasomnia's vice housewarden, and that is certain to ruffle feathers and perhaps even cause a scuffle, something I am ill-equipped to deal with. Would Leona actually want to swim? Probably not. Could I convince him to? Also likely a no. But even if he's just chilling in one of the cabanas taking a nap, so long as I have his permission, there isn't much anyone in the dorm can do to stop me from indulging in one of my favorite pastimes. It just looks like it'd be so refreshing, and the way it's set up looks like a pool resort with the little cabanas and the lounge chairs, and I just think it'd be fun to take a dip. So, if the only way for me to do that is through the lion, then so be it. Perhaps I was given this permission because of my actions performed in the next question, which was, would you rather brave the special bakery line to get Leona lunch with Edea or Ace? This is another one where I feel like it's no contest given how we see the bakery scramble play out in the manga, so I gotta go with Ace here. Edea, historically, does not show up to the cafeteria, nor does he show up basically anywhere on campus. So, dragging him to the cafeteria to buy food for Leona of all people is going to be a hard pass from him. Ace, on the other hand, might not care too much for getting Leona food, but he would care about getting his own goods for free if he were to help out. He's occasionally good at smooth talking, has a lot of energy, might be able to squeeze through folks to get that last deluxe ham sandwich, and he absolutely would do it if he was going to get his haul paid for by someone else's pocket, i.e. me. I also think he'd genuinely be a fun guy to scheme with in this way. Maybe he too wants something out of Leona. Maybe he needs an extra favor stashed in his back pocket. Maybe I have some dirt on him that I'm exchanging for his help. Maybe, just maybe. I don't know how exactly we got ourselves into this situation, but what I do know is that I have a much better chance with him than Edea. However, our next question was, would you rather complete a morning workout with Idia or Vil? And here, I think the clear answer, for me at least, is Idia, because I, as I have said before, am not that athletic. And while I do go to the gym, I am not at Vil's level of physical fitness, and due to this, I doubt I would survive one of his workouts. The biggest reason I feel this way is that Vil, canonically, runs in the mornings, and I cannot run to save my life. Not only can't I run, but I also hate this activity with a burning passion. It is the worst exercise. I hate how it makes my breathing feel. It is very painful. No, thank you. Now, I do suspect Vil would be more accommodating and wouldn't expect me to follow his routine perfectly, given that I am not him. But he would put me through the ringer in a much more dramatic way, which I would like to avoid. Idia doesn't seem like he works out at all, so the two of us would be starting from a relatively similar place. We can encourage each other to keep going, but also tap out when we need to without too much guilt. Turning the activity into a mini competition between us could also help keep us motivated as well. And with Ortho there to monitor our heart rates and that sort of stuff, I wouldn't have a fear of dying as much, which is a positive. Hopefully, Ortho isn't a worse taskmaster than Vil, though, because I can see the android purposefully wearing us out. Our next question was, would you rather play some chess with Jamil or Vil? I think this is the first question where the answer actually isn't immediately obvious to me, because I think either of these individuals would be a wonderful opponent and both would have enough grace to continue the game in a friendly manner. I am not well versed in chess, though there was a time where I wanted to learn how to play, so I do understand the basics. Both Jamil and Vil are smart, but I do think Jamil might be a bit better at this game since his whole bread and butter is planning things. When is Kaleem going to eat? Where does this exist in the storage room? How do I look like I'm giving it my all while playing a game to let my opponent win with some level of satisfaction? All of these things and more are almost daily occurrences for Jamil. So in a situation like this, he'd either let me think I was doing well against him, or he would completely demolish me, but neither option is all that appealing. Even if he wasn't good at chess, knowing what I know about him, I would always be suspicious that he was letting me win, and that would take a lot of fun out of the struggle. Therefore, I'm gonna go with Vil here, who I imagine has played this game a bit, but hasn't mastered it due to being involved in other pursuits. Perhaps there was a time where Leona taught him how to play, or that the two indulged in games together, given how X-coded their interactions are. But without any confirmation on that end, I can only assume Vil and I are at a similar level. Being more evenly matched and knowing full well Vil isn't going to fake a defeat, the match can proceed, and we can duke it out on the board. Another battle awaits in our next question. Would you rather arm wrestle to settle a conflict with Lilia or Ace? While I think both of these fellows would be alright with this type of conflict resolution, I do see Lilia snapping my arm off unintentionally since he's got that Fae strength behind him and I do not want that. However, I also see Ace as being a bit reluctant to engage in this type of thing randomly, as he was pretty alarmed by Jack's suggestion to throw down in Book 2. There is a risk that Ace just refuses to engage with the arm wrestling, whereas with Lilia there isn't, so I'm going to have to risk my limbs and challenge the bat instead. If nothing else, he probably would find this to be a novel experience, something completely out of his typical, and so I imagine he'd delightfully accept the challenge. I also know that he will not hold back, and I will certainly lose, unless it's over something silly like what ice cream flavor to get, or he's trying to rope me into doing something by goading me into the match to defeat him to do said thing. You know, like a reverse psychology situation. Oh, you don't want to go to the beach? I surely would never let you do that. What, you don't need my approval? How about we settle it with an arm wrestle? And then he lets me win, so I do in fact have to go to the beach. Perhaps not even realizing that he made me change my mind in this roundabout way. Not that you ever have to convince me to go to the beach, but regardless, it seems like it'd be a fun time to challenge him even if the actual battle is short-lived. Our next question was, would you rather look for a sleeping Leona with Kaleem or Jade? I think Kaleem would genuinely give this his best effort, but this might also result in most of Scarabia also helping us look, which means we would certainly find the lion at some point. I like Kalim's attitude, I truly do, and I think that he would be a delight to hang out with, but Jade exists, and that's kind of all I need here, so I'm picking him instead. I think Jade knows where Leona is. In fact, he may have hidden him himself, and so he may be getting a good chuckle out of my desperate attempts to find Leona. Alternatively, we can both get a good chuckle by watching the frazzled Savanaclaw students scramble to find their lost house warden. With no knowledge of where he is, we could try our best to help, but that doesn't guarantee that we'll be successful. And it's really not our job to help them out either, so if we fail, it's not a big deal, right? Regardless of the case, we'd both get to hang out and walk around campus together, which is a win in my book. Maybe we take a detour in the botanical garden to check on Jade's mushrooms, since we're already here and Leona could possibly be hiding among the fungi, right? Who could blame us for getting sidetracked talking about exciting topics like mycelium? They'd better perish the thought, or they may find themselves on the receiving end of many an experimental mushroom dish. Our next question was, would you rather stake your claim to one of the dorm's lounge chairs with Rook or Malleus? I am so tempted to say Malleus here because I would want to watch the drama. Oh, I want to watch it so bad. Not only is someone not from the dorm hogging one of the chairs, but that person just so happens to be Malleus Draconia, Savanaclaw's enemy number one. Perhaps he's in Leona's spot of all places too. Be still, my beating heart. There isn't enough popcorn in the world to cover this sort of cinematic masterpiece. However, the likelihood of someone getting smited by lightning is not zero, so I think I still have to go with Rook here. There was a point in time where Rook was a member of the storm, so he is likely already aware of how these territorial struggles go, meaning he could give me pointers on dealing with any upset students. He might be more interested in watching the scuffles than actually helping, but if he did, with his overwhelming amounts of charisma and Leona's alleged fear of the bard, we'd likely be fine. He might even start correcting students' arm wrestling techniques and flooring them with his ability to beat them too, distracting those students from disturbing me in my lounge chair. We could also use the excuse of a photo shoot, leveraging Leona's dislike of Rook to keep other kiddos off our tails, saying we got permission from Leona, and Leona not wanting to involve himself with Rook effectively ends up giving us permission that we didn't previously have. I don't know, there just seems to be more creative ways of the situation resolving with Rook versus Mal, so I think I'm gonna stick with him. And our last question was, would you rather hang the dorm's laundry out to dry with Rook or Ruggy? Wheel, I have so many questions. Why is Rook here? Why is he doing the dorm's laundry? Is he doing the dorm's laundry, or is he looking for something among the clothes? Do I even want the answer to any of these questions? Who can say? All I know is that if Rook is hanging up others' tidy whities, there is something else going on, and because it scares me a bit, I'm picking Ruggy here. Thankfully, the wheel also provided this canonical answer, so I'm quite content to helping the hyena with the chore. This guy does run himself ragged with all of his part-time jobs, so allowing him to take a breather by speeding up the process seems like a nice thing to do. Plus, hanging laundry can be kinda soothing, albeit boring, since it's a bit monotonous. Having a conversation partner could make the chore a bit more fun, and I think Ruggy would be really good at chatting. He'd also probably welcome the help so long as I didn't ask for anything in return. We'd get everything dried in no time and returned to its proper owners, maybe stealing away a bit of loose change for ourselves in the process. Those coins can't have been too important if folks left them in their pockets, right? And just like that, we're finished with our questions for today. Did you agree with my picks or disagree? Just how similar are we? And if you picked different folks, let me know why down below. I'd also love it if y'all could spare a moment to give a little feedback on the quiz function, as well as this video format. But if comments aren't your thing, you could always like and subscribe instead to show your support. And of course, before you go, I just have to remind you that you're amazing, and I hope you have a wonderful day.